تركنا الخلق طرا وأتيناك وذبنا فيك حبا مذ رأيناك.
Respected viewers, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of our show, The Grammar of Betrayal, with me, your host Ahmed Ali. For the dear viewers who didn't get the chance to view the previous episodes, they will be inshallah replayed throughout the day and after the martyrdom of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But for the sake of the episode yesterday, we discussed the difference between betrayal and letting someone down, and at what point do they intertwine. We also differentiated between Islam, which was brought by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the pure religion represented by the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and differentiate between that and the Islam, the religion. We won't call it Islam, we just call it the religion which was created, innovated, established by the people of Saqifa after the incident of Prophet Muhammad's martyrdom, peace be upon him. But however, before I would like to continue the episode, of course I would like to welcome my dear guest and my esteemed guest, Dr. Francisco Jose Luis, once again. Habib, welcome back. Doc, Allah khalikum, inshallah. On Facebook I read something very nice. Before we go into the questions we received a couple of days ago, but someone sent a message. He said, during the end of the walk from Najaf to Karbala, seeing the dome of Abul Fadl Abbas alayhi salam brings hope into you as you enter the city of Karbala, paradise on earth. When we hear that, we wonder that this person came from the UK, and he's saying that as soon as I entered, when you come from Najaf to Karbala, there's a road that leads you straight to Abul Fadl Abbas alayhi salam, coming from the small towns in Karbala, Saif Sa'ad, and the road leads you, and from far away you can see the dome, the minarets of Abul Fadl Abbas alayhi salam. And what an image! I see it every day because that's the way I come, but it's amazing, it's beautiful. So this person shared his experiences with us, so thank you very much. But a caller yesterday said you touched upon unity, but I would like it if you can expand on that. How or when did this concept come into place, and how did this poison enter Tashayyu'? What are the psychological forces that lead one to falling into this concept of unity?
Yes. First of all, to touch upon the beautiful description of the commenter from the UK.
Yeah.
When one looks at the domes of the shrines of Karbala, hope, serenity,
yeah,
peace, just many of the countless bounties that one experiences here in Karbala.
No.
And going back to the point of unity, I think it's important to keep in mind that whenever a political power is established upon a great number of different religious and ethnic types of population, there's always the need for extremely strong states to create a sort of a religious system that harmonizes them in favor of the state. For example, the Roman Empire knew a great variety of different religions. And what the Romans would do is that they had a temple in Rome called the Pantheon, which is nowadays a church. Now, Pantheon means Pantheon means in Greek all the gods. So it was a place where all of the gods of the empire were represented. And of course, with this cult of all the gods of the empire, all the divinities and religious systems of the empire coming together in the pantheon, was the figure of the divine emperor. So the emperor, the figure of the emperor was divinized, i.e. the state was divinized.
Yes.
This of course goes at the expense of the notion of truth. So this has always been a feature of great empires. Let's take, for example, the Mongols in China, Kublai Khan. Those who are familiar with Marco Polo's adventures are familiar with the fact that Kublai Khan was religiously neutral. He was equally favorable towards Islam, the different Chinese religions such as Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, as well as Christianity, all had a place in his empire. Or one needs to just mention, for example, the famous Mughal Emperor Akbar in India, who who used to sit in this room in his palace, where he would sit on this pole, and all the representatives of the different religions would sit around him and would debate. Of course, it wasn't about seeking the truth. It was rather about demonstrating that the emperor is as the axis mundi, as the axis of the universe and the seat of all authority. Now, the Abbasids, for example, did something similar. We have Abbasid caliphs such as Nasruddin Allah, who attempted to unite Sunnis and Shias in a politically minded unity. The problem, of course, with these sort of attempts is that, yes, what is reached through it is some sort of civil peace, a civil harmony in favor of the states, but it comes at the expense of truth. So the idea is that, yes, sure, you believe that 2 and 2 equals 4, sure. He believes that 2 and 2 equals 5. He believes that 2 and 2 equals 5 elephants, and so on and so forth. What really matters is that we all agree on the formula 2 plus 2 equals. Let's all come together. Let's not get too bigoted or fanatic about the idea that 2 and 2 equals 4. And you may very well believe that 2 and 2 equals 4, as long as you don't challenge the views of others.
So they forget the result, focus on the formula.
Of course, of course. Now, remember the idea of the pantheon. What was the Kaaba during the time of the Jahiliyyah? It was precisely that.
Yeah.
All the tribes, including Christians, would bring their religious symbols to the Kaaba. And so the Kaaba was used to celebrate some political unity within the Arabs, amongst the Arabs, and of course at the expense of truth. Now notice this, the Prophet ﷺ didn't come and say, well, I am the messenger of God, but let's all live in harmony, and I respect the fact that you may believe in Hubal and the other Arab gods and bury your daughters alive. That's your way of life and that's okay. No, he didn't do that. What he did was what his ancestor, Hazrat Ibrahim, the father of all knights, did. He took a hammer and smashed the idols down. The thing we need to really realize that the claim of Tashayyu is quite unique. And the claim is this. Ali ma'al haq wal haq ma'ali. Ali is with the truth and the truth is with Ali. This is a very bold statement. And to use the formula of St. Thomas Aquinas when he discusses the veracity of Jesus' mission, I think we can apply this to the Prophet as well, and to Ahlul Bayt. We are faced with only 2 choices. Either when the Ahlul Bayt make those claims, they're either lunatics, or they are dangerous lunatics, or they are right. And if they are right, we have no other choice but to follow them.
Definitely.
It's very important. There's no compromise when it comes to truth. And the thing is, I'm saying this because, for example, many people that I know, for example, Pakistani Shias, who, for example, wish their Hindus in Pakistan happy Diwali. My question is, there's no question that the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam have always encouraged us to be friendly and nice to our neighbors. But at no point have I ever seen any of our Imams or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wish, for example, the idol worshippers a happy Hubal day or happy Lat day.
Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
Now, coming back to the present trend of what we call unity. This goes back to a man who lived in the 19th century called Jamaluddin Afghani, who was a Sayyid from Iran, who was kicked out from Iran by the authorities because he was a heretic, a zindiq. He was declared by the ulama of this time to be a heretic. He was kicked out of Iran. He sought refuge in Cairo. In Cairo, and this is no conspiracy theory, this is actually documented. And there are several academically approved articles on this. Jamaluddin Afghani was initiated into Freemasonry, into the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, by the local British Masonic Lodge of Cairo. He was then asked, or he was then pushed to create the first Masonic Lodge for Muslims, called the Kawkab al-Sharq, the Star of the East. Now, please, this is very important. The elite of the Egyptian society joins that society. Now, one needs to understand that, first of all, Freemasonry goes back to the 18th century. It was created in England, and it bases itself on what we call the Declarations of Anderson. It's a document, you can all check it out. In those days, the first document of Freemasonry pushed for the idea of religious unity between Catholics and Protestants. Meaning what? Meaning that there actually is no real revelation. Religion, or true religion, does not come from above down, but it's something that comes from the human being. And notice this. Each time I teach a class at university, I always ask my students, how do you define faith? Now, nowadays, the modern man defines faith as an emotion, something that comes from the inside. And this is a disease that we Shia also suffer from. We place faith at the level of emotion. I feel that Ali is the truth. I feel a special connection. This is not the classical way of viewing things. People can feel many things about different types of idols. If I take a Sikh in the Punjab who visits the shrine of his 10th master, Guru Gobind Singh, at sunsets and sees the beautiful domes and everything, I'm sure you'll meet many people who are moved to tears by the sheer emotion of the sight and feel a special connection to that what I have to call the cult leader. Problem is, that's not what faith is. Faith is this. There's two aspects to faith. Faith is what? Faith is the following thing. The mind presents to the intellect, which is different from reason. Intellect is the parts of ourselves that perceives the higher realities. The mind presents to the intellect a certain number of facts. For example, there's a God, there's heaven, there's hell. God is just. Therefore, he needs to guide humanity, given that we have free choice. If he were not to guide us and given our free choice, then he would mislead us, then, and so on and so forth. The mind acquiesces and says yes to these, the intellect says yes to these facts. So that's faith. It's an act of the will. Secondly, according to the hadith of the Ahlul Bayt, Iman, faith, is a ruh, it's a spirit, seated in the heart, in the qalb, the heart being a spiritual entity. Each time a mu'min sins, the ruh of Iman leaves him or her, and it only goes back after he or she has done tawbah. This is really important. This has nothing to do with some sort of like inner emotional quest. if we look at the 14 centuries of sheer intellectual contribution, there's no place for emotionality in the many works of theology, of mantiq, of logic, of philosophy, and so on and so forth. There's no room for that.
Definitely.
So one needs to understand that with the rise of modernity, this classical view of faith has left for an emotional one, and meaning that religion is the attempt by humanity through emotion to touch some sort of perfection. And this quest for perfection can take many forms. It can be Islam, it can be Christianity, it can be Buddhism, it can be Hinduism, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
As long as we're somehow striving towards achieving a paradise on earth. That's the aim of Freemasonry. Freemasonry wants to create a paradise on earth without the notion of revelation, without the notion of wahi, therefore without the notion of what our classical tradition calls revelation, prophethood, and imamate.
Yeah, and I mean even through that, and that's how they try to form a unity based on bringing all religions that don't even intertwine. I mean, when you look at it, Christianity, yes, we do intertwine with them that there is a God, monotheism, so long as with Judaism, but that's the only thing that we intertwine with them. I mean, a God, yes, but when you look at different things, there's a lot of differentiation between us. Jesus did this, but in our perspective, unity needs something significant for them to come together. I mean, that's why when people go to the West, same as you mentioned, they celebrate Hindu celebrations, but when you go to the West, you see Muslims dressing up for Halloween. I mean, as a sort of getting into the community. For me personally, they have betrayed their traditions. The traditions of Ahlul Bayt, the culture of Islam, the culture of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, don't tell you to be an outcast and stay at home. No, but at the same time, doesn't mean that you go and join this random act that we don't even know who created. People dress up as Cinderella. I mean, what is this? But whatever. But sorry to cut you off. The numbers, respected viewers, are present right now, and the social media that you can go on to send in your questions, comment on the show, call us to send in any questions you want. So do send in your questions, because we are here to answer anything you want, whether you're confused about something, confused about anything that we say. We're happy to answer anything that you say. But back to our discussion.
Yeah. So
if we want to connect that with the show's title, Betrayal, how would you connect the aspect of unity and how they bring everyone together? At the same time, deeply down, they are betraying this unity.
Of course. Well, let me just slightly continue on Jamaluddin Afghani so that you understand the importance of the question. The Masonic lodge called the Kawkab al-Sharq was the home of the Egyptian elites of the time. After that, after the creation of that lodge, the majority of the heads of Al-Azhar were members of that Masonic lodge.
Really?
And that's where, suddenly out of the blue, they decided to make Tashayyu the fifth madhab within Islam.
Some sort of
As a consequence of that. It was a trick, because you see, we have been oppressed.
Yeah.
We've always been considered non-Muslims by these people, and suddenly out of the blue, they consider us to be part of Islam. They speak of this unit, this what we call pan-Islamism, this all-encompassing unity of all Muslims. And of course, it's a trick.
Yeah.
Because first of all, there's no madhab of the Ahlul Bayt. There's only an Islam of the Ahlul Bayt.
Yeah.
End of story. Tashayyu is not a madhab. The Imams have never, ever, ever in an entire, in their entire teaching, ever used the word madhab to talk about Tashayyu.
No.
About Shi'ism.
It's a religion.
Never. It's Shi'ism is the path. It's not one, it's not a sect amongst any others. It is the sect. Now, did the Imams, were the Imams in any way or form involved in some form of hate speech? Of course not. And here's the difference. The Imams always taught us to consider the awam, what we nowadays would call the Sunni masses, those who don't know better, to interact with them in a friendly way. They were very strict on the fact that, yes, that we have to consider them as having the same rights as Muslims. We can marry with them, we can eat from them, we can interact with them. There's no problem with that. But at the same time, we need to understand that it is only because they don't know, because they've been, because many of them have very good intentions, but they don't know they don't know enough to, know any better, which is different from the Nawasib. And the Nawasib are not just the people who hate the Ahlul Bayt, but the people who hate the Shia. And there are many of them.
Nawasib, it just means that they place, wherever they go, they try to place hatred within the hearts of the people who either are willing or they love Ahlul Bayt, or they adore Ahlul Bayt. They introduce some of the weirdest narrations that I don't know where they come from, outrageous, and they introduce it, and that's what they place, Yansad, they place the hatred within the hearts of the Muslims.
Now notice this. One of the organizations that came out of the Kawkab al-Sharq, or let's put it this way, one of the men who was part of that organization of the Kawkab al-Sharq was Hassan al-Banna, the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood. When you enter the Muslim Brotherhood, you undergo a ritual that actually is very similar to that of Freemasonry.
Wow.
You have your, as far as I know, they cover your eyes for some time, and then you present a Quran with a gun and so on and so forth. This is very similar to Masonic rituals. Now, and notice this. The Muslim Brotherhood has always been officially for some sort of unity with the Shia. But as long as the Shia play their role as inoffensive minority, the minute the Shia actually state, no, Ali is the truth, we find what, for example, happens in Gaza, where Hamas, which is an extension of the Muslim Brotherhood, has assassinated many Shia and has waged a consistent hate campaign against the Shia. Now, let me state here, the fight for a free Palestine is completely justified. We need to distinguish it, because a lot of people get confused and
they place it under religion.
The fight for a free Palestine is completely justified, but at the same time, we should not be blind to the fact that certain organizations in Palestine are extremely anti-Shia, and we should think twice about the way we interact with them. Now, this being said, this idea of pan-Islamism has now reached the point where it has infiltrated the Hausa. And in the name of pan-Islamism, you have several people who wear the turban, who are clerics, and now, for example, do taradhi of the killer of Fatima al-Zahra, who praise. Not only do they not allow us to curse the oppressors of Fatima al-Zahra, but they even praise them. And this is, see, the broken rib of Fatima al-Zahra is a red line you cannot cross.
Oh, definitely.
The minute you deny the martyrdom of our queen, the minute you praise her oppressor, that's it. You are outside Tashayyu. This is as the Iranians would say, in mantiq man nist, in farman khudast. This is not my logic. This is an order. This is a divine command. The Imams themselves have very clearly stated many times that, for example, there's a narration where a disciple goes to one of the imams and says, well, I know this and such person. He says he loves you, but he also loves, the first three ones.
Yeah.
And the imam says this person is confused and is one of our enemies.
Yeah.
You cannot have it all. You either have to choose between Fatima to Zahra alayhi salam or the man who whipped her, kicked her in the stomach, and eventually killed her. That sort of, you simply can't reconcile both. And it's
definitely, it's like walking two roads, with your own legs. You can't do that. It's
Absolutely.
either you take this road or this one.
Absolutely.
And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to walk two lanes.
But this sort of mental inconsistency is one of the characteristics of the modern age. Because at the end of the day, what is then said is, it happened many years ago.
Oh, wow.
Let's all come together. Let's all forget about this and let's establish a paradise on earth. Problem. The whole notion of building a paradise on earth is built on the premise that somehow, how to say, that this world is perfectible, that this world can know perfection. Well, that is completely flawed. Suffering will always be part of our lives, whether we want it or not. We will never be able to erase death, disease, or disappointments of all kinds, irrespective of how wealthy or how technologically developed we may become. This sort of world actually leads to a world dominance based on a dictatorship. A dictatorship does not necessarily have to be established through violent means. It can be established through the forced consensus of the minds. And this is especially now in the West what is happening. The education system since the Second World War has been, on purpose, has been dumbed down for people to be able to force people to adopt this worldview according to which, well, religion is a hobby that you do at home, and as long as you don't threaten the interests of the state and the corporations, you're fine. And it is very sad to see the state of the Muslims in general in the West, but also especially the Shia, who cannot come out and speak what they should be saying. Oh, yeah. So speak out about the things that they should be speaking about. I've not, until now, I've not heard a single speech on a minbar regarding, for example, gay marriage. Why? Because the minute you speak about gay marriage, you lose your license as a religious worker.
Yeah.
So my problem is this. Imagine you're the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You live in Medina or in Mecca, and there are laws that forbid you from criticizing Hubal because it's hate speech, or that forbid you from criticizing the act of burying your daughters and so on and so forth. Would the Prophet obey those laws?
I don't
This
understand.
is a problem, and I think it's a time that we kind of woke up to reality. You can't have it both ways.
Definitely.
And it's of course all the comforts that we know in the West are quite pleasant. Chicken wings and burgers and other things that are quite pleasant in the West. But is your soul really worth it?
Definitely.
And I'm not saying
if we can answer that question, but after the week, if you will, inshallah.
Okay.
Inshallah. So, respected viewers, don't go anywhere, for you'll be, inshallah, presented with a short break from the city of Karbala, or the outskirts road leading to the holy city of Karbala, paradise on earth. So, to that report, stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
يسكت العالم بأسرى ونستمع صوت الحسين. سلام الله على صوتك حبيبي يا حسين. أنا أنظر على أصحابي من هو ومثل النجوم. سلام الله على أصحابك حبيبي يا حسين. روح شبه الطير فرت بمصرع الأكبر تحوم. سلام حاضر حبيبي يا حسين والذبح
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. As you can hear the sounds of the footsteps as they walk towards Karbala. They walk towards their lovers, Al-Hussein ibn Ali, Safinatun Najat. Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam is the ark of salvation and the vessel of salvation. And you can see the Zawar are coming in the millions and they will continue to come. They will continue to come until they reach the humble abode, until they reach paradise. As you can see, women, children, old and young, different ethnicities, different cultures, all over Iraq, from Iran, from Pakistan, from Afghanistan, from America. Look at this beautiful wave that passes by me right now. They come and they continue to walk until they reach one destination. That destination is Karbala. Every step the Za'ir takes, every step the pilgrim takes, he will be recorded in his good deeds. Every step he takes, his sins will be erased, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will record him amongst the pure ones, and he will be amongst the prophets and the messengers and the pure ones on the day of judgment. They continue to walk. Look at the children, look at the old, look at the young. When we ask them, why do you walk to Hussein? Why do you walk to Al-Hussein ibn Ali? They say we walk to reach Hussein because we're in love. And by Allah, this is the manifestation of love. If you want to define love, you look at Al-Hussein ibn Ali. If you want to define love, you come to Karbala and you see this beautiful wave as it flocks towards Karbala, as it breaks the barrier of time and space. Nobody stops them, no terrorism, no fear. They continue to walk, and by Allah, even when they are in fear, they are at the same time joyful, because they know the more that they are in fear, the more that their reward is increased, and they will continue. And this masira, this walk, this revolution will continue and continue until the rise of our Imam al-Mahdi, Qa'imu al-Muhammad, Ajrallahu ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif.
سلام الله على ظهرك حبيبي يا حسين من طحت من المطهر عيني ظلت على الخيام سلام الله على خيامك حبيبي حسين.
Respected viewers, welcome back. Hope you inshallah enjoyed that report with my brother Sheikh Muntazar Al-Karbala. I forgot my friend's name. Wow. But yes, inshallah you enjoyed that report. It was amazing to see the lovers of Muhsin alayhi salam flocking to and out of the city of Karbala to return safely inshallah to their homes. But Habibi Doc, welcome back. The first talk was interesting, some very interesting points. But if we want to switch from that topic, although it does link into our topic, because we do see the betrayal across history, you know, with the covers of Islam, but yet deep down they still have that betrayal aspect within them. But where do we see betrayal in history?
Right from the very start.
Yes.
You have Adam and Eve are in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is this, according to the narrations of the Ahlul Bayt, it's quite interesting. It's you have Iblis,
yes,
who manages to sneak inside the garden by convincing the peacock to let him in, and then he convinces the snake. The snake back then was actually like a horse, according to the narrations, and so Iblis entered the garden. Seated on the tongue of the snake, and then betrayed the trusts. The garden was a place of trust, because keep in mind, all the creatures that we see nowadays, or the archetypical forms of all the creatures were there. The lions, the sheep, who all lived together. And what characterizes Eden, the garden, is this place of trust. And Iblis enters this place of trust with this intention of creating discord and betraying, and he lies to Adam and Eve. This is probably the first form of betrayal, because he uses the idea that the fact that all of these creatures are actually trusting each other.
Yeah.
Right? Because he betrays the peacock, he betrays the snake, he eventually betrays, Adam and Eve. And this of course goes on, and not only with Adam and Eve, but of course with their children.
Yeah, but I've heard of a narration, I believe by Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, where they ask him about Iblis and him disobeying the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for prostrating to Adam alayhi salam. They say that before Adam was born, Iblis would enter in his body, and he would say, before even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to do sujood for Adam, he's like, if Allah told me to do this, I would never do it. And he would enter his body repeatedly and say what he said. So we do see the betrayal. Iblis is one of the most devoted angels, 5,000 years worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet we see that the betrayal was in him. That how can I prostrate to someone made out of clay while I'm made out of flames? So we do see that. But mentioning children, the children of Adam, Abel and Cain, what's the betrayal story behind them?
Well, just go back to Iblis. He was an adopted angel. He was actually a jinn. He was adopted by the angels. But just so that the viewers are not confused. Well, Cain and Abel this is a very interesting story, because we see how betrayal takes place within the family. And what is very tragic is that the first murder takes place between brothers. And what Cain does is that he betrays the trusts of brotherhood. Brotherhood has this, of course, this innate dimension that it implies ipso facto that there's a bond between brothers of protection and care. No matter how different you see in a family, no matter in a good family, I think it's very possible. It's most of the time you see that, irrespective of how sometimes brothers and sisters might disagree with each other, or how much they might be apart in their lifestyles, there is an element of care that normally exists between brothers and within siblings. Why? Because the bond of brotherhood is such that it implies this idea of care, protection. Yeah. That's why when two men become friends, and become so much friends that they consider each other to be brothers, we see the same bond being created of mutual care, affection, and protection. If for example, if one of my friends, for example, let's say you and I are very, 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 very close friends, and for example, just as an anecdote, I learned through a lecture by Professor Catherine Babayan, one of the best specialists of Iranian civilization. During the Safavid periods, very good friends used to have these documents these documents of brotherhood. We used to call it Sireye Ohovyat, the Sira of brotherhood, and this would actually be recognized in court. And this established, it's like a blood pact, right? Yeah. And this would establish a bond that was recognized. And the same thing, for example, the Alevi 12 Shias of Turkey have a similar system. When they get initiated into the higher levels of the faith, two men are brought together who are they call it, I think the Turkish term is a musahib. So what happens is that these two men become spiritual brothers. They are to care for each other's families, protect each other's families, and they also have to care for each other's spiritual progress. So for example, if one of them commits a sin, it is the other man's duty to say, look, you've been drinking and you're my brother, and I'm telling you, because you're my brother, this is wrong,
Yeah.
and I'm there for you to help you out of this situation.
Yeah.
So, so imagine Cain and Abel have this relationship, are supposed to have this relationship, and Cain, out of jealousy, because God favored Abel's sacrifice, Cain slays his own brother. Why? Because he betrays the trusts that exist between them. See, Cicero, as I said during the last lecture, says that the traitor is the worst enemy, because Cain was not some external enemy.
No.
He was within the very fold of the fellowship of Adam. He was part of the family. So he betrays that trust.
Yeah. I mean, just to link it with that, the betrayal of family, we do see the story of Noah and his son and his wife.
Yeah.
We do see that when the flood happened, he says, "Come, get on the boat." The son says, "No, I'll go to the highest place, and that, will survive me." Until that point, he was saying, "You're my son," but the fact is, some narrations